My ex-BF invited me to his wedding with the intention of humiliating me by showing off his rich new partner. So I brought a special guest as my plus one, and by the end of the night, he was left crying because his marriage was over. Bella had not noticed me or Jake yet when she suddenly saw Jake seated next to me. She froze in her tracks. Bella turned to look at me and then looked at him, perhaps still confused. She stuttered and asked Jake what he was doing with me. I smiled and told her that I had invited him as a guest so we could show our support for her marriage. She looked enraged and asked Jake if we were dating now. Jake remained silent because this was a ridiculous question to ask anyway, and Bella's face began turning red with anger. Jake asked her if he could speak with her privately as he didn't want her to cause a scene, and she nodded solemnly, throwing me a nasty glance. They walked out, and I turned to look at Dylan, watching our interaction with hawk eyes. Though Dylan seemed concerned, he couldn't do much as he had to sit there pretending that everything was okay. The party continued, and everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves, but an hour had passed, and the bride was nowhere to be found. Several guests started to notice and whisper among themselves. Bella's dad started to look concerned and asked one of the bridesmaids to go and check on her. A minute later, the bridesmaid came running, holding a note in her hands. She announced in front of everyone that Bella had run away with her ex-boyfriend. Everyone stood there shocked. The bridesmaid continued to read the note where Bella had admitted that seeing Jake had brought back all her lingering feelings, and she had made a huge mistake marrying Dylan. The revelation stunned the guests further, leaving Dylan standing there humiliated and exposed. I was also quite shocked, as although I had brought Jake as my plus one to piss Dylan off, I would never have imagined that things would turn out this way. Dylan looked like he was ready to tear someone's head off. Bella's parents politely requested everyone to take leave and profusely apologized for what had happened. I watched as Dylan, once proud and boastful, stood there alone, completely taken aback by Bella's decision. Since the wedding, I do feel a bit guilty, but at the same time, I can't help but feel satisfied that Dylan's attempt to humiliate me had backfired spectacularly. The event meant to showcase his triumph over me had become the stage for his downfall. Ida for taking a special guest with me as a plus one and ruining my ex's wedding? I have been receiving mixed reactions to my posts since I posted my story. While a lot of you agree that I did the right thing, some of you think I went a little too far. I have to clarify that it was never my intention to break my ex's wedding, nor did it ever come up in my conversation with Jake. I have no idea what Bella and Jake talked about privately for Bella to break off the wedding so quickly. I simply wanted to be petty with my ex as he had invited me in the first place with the hope of showing off marrying a rich partner like Bella. I had nothing to do with Bella coming to the decision to leave her marriage. I have texted Jake asking him about what happened, so I will update next when he replies.